Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel Show. My name is Ajay Patel. This week, we do have something very special. Now, firstly, I will apologize because if you heard on a previous episode, I referenced how I had this, am I calling them interviews? I had a guest, and it was my friend Natasha Singh, and unfortunately, the audio got lost from transfer from SD card to computer, and so the rest of this episode in me talking to her will be the audio from the iPhone. Now, it's not the worst, but you kind of hear the, like the buzzing of the world around you. So I do apologize for that, but I was just like, this is, why waste good material? Why waste good material, especially on a week where it's just like, damn, bro, like there's consistency is great. Consistency leads to growth. Growth leads to numbers, and numbers is what you want at the end of the day. But also, it's tiring as shit. And sometimes you start to lapse on some of the, I forget to clip up this. I forget to post this on my story. I forget to post on Instagram and whatnot. So I wanted to use this almost as a break. So even though that this episode isn't the highest of quality, and she'll be back, I'll bring her back and we'll have better quality and we'll run it back. But I still wanted to put this episode out there. I think it's still, some decent conversations that we had, even though the audio may not be pristine. But I hope you guys enjoyed anyways. Before we jump into that, a couple quick headlines. The Olympics has started. Now, nothing brings out good patriotism like rooting for USA on TV and then changing the channel and then being like, oh, shit, this is where I live. But there's nothing like it. Whether it's watching Team USA in basketball, swimming, track, it's so dope just to see, holy shit. Like, I thought I was good at volleyball. And then you see how they play. Oh, my gosh. What is that fencing? Oh, how? Damn, she's stabbing the shit out of that German girl. She's whooping these Chinese ass. Oh, my gosh. It's a fun thing, especially having Peacock with the one benefit of having the American Express is like, oh, okay, I finally get a network that covers something useful. I didn't really care about who has the Taylor Swift interview and Scooter Braun interview. Finally, Peacock has something useful. And it's also just like, and we'll get into this in a later episode, but it's just like, where are they getting this money from? Like, how do you buy the rights to the Olympics? I thought this just used to be something that you find on NBC at whatever hour of the day, right? You turn it on and you see the Olympics playing. Besides that, last week I was in Palm Springs. And we were wedding venue shopping. I probably might be saying too much, on a public forum about where I might be getting married, but it was 117 degrees there. And white people, I don't know how y'all do it. People were in the pool splashing around. The desert people are just a different breed. It kind of reminded me of that movie Dune, where it's like there's just they're made from a different cloth, quite literally, where when you live in the desert, you're acclimated to that shit. People were driving around with their windows down, walking around town, smiling. Ish and I could not breathe in this shit. Even at night, it drops to 92 at best. Decent trip overall. But it was so hot that we just went to the movies and watched Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, if you haven't seen this already, don't worry. I don't have any spoilers on here. You don't have to skip ahead. The movie was amazing. It was great. It was like, oh, finally, a Marvel movie that I don't regret coming to the theater to watch. And I haven't felt like that in a while. So if you have not seen it, please go ahead. They really pull some nostalgia out of it. Obviously, with having Wolverine in there. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to ruin it. But don't listen to any of these negative people. Don't look at the reviews. Just go book a ticket, buy that expensive-ass popcorn, get an IC, grab some candy, and go enjoy yourself. Now, on the heels of that, Comic-Con happens in San Diego. I think it was last weekend. And the biggest announcement of it, right? Obviously, they have like, oh, this movie's coming out here, this movie's coming out then, blah, blah, blah. Robert Downey Jr. returns as Dr. Doom. This has been kind of received with mixed emotions, right? Some people being super excited about it because it's like, oh, the Iron Man variant, it finally becomes Dr. Doom in the multiverse. We can do anything about it. I'm kind of on the other side, where you just finished this greatest character ever. And he's even on record. I remember he did this interview with Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan was like, hey, you know, like with this whole multiverse thing and bringing people back to life, you could make a return. And I get it. You know, he was kind of referring to his role as Iron Man when he says like, oh, you know what? Why would I ever, you know, tarnish something that was done so well? And in my opinion, it's almost kind of the same thread where it's like, you did this role amazing, right? People think you're actually Iron Man in real life. You did that role that well that if we see anyone else play Iron Man ever in the future, it'll just feel weird. Almost like where Hugh Jackman is with Wolverine, where it's like, we just can't replace you. You know, you've built this identity and this is perfect. We want you here for as long as we can. And we did that until he dies in Endgame. So my whole stance about this is, I think Marvel's trying to get away with not inventing and developing our love into new people, right? When Thor, Captain America, Iron Man started, even Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, we didn't know who the hell they were. We didn't know the comic book stories behind most of them. And then slowly, one movie at a time, we developed this relationship, right? It was this slow burn up until their kind of peak, which was Infinity War Endgame. Now, obviously, when you're that sky high, you're bound to fall back down, which we are clearly at right now. So bringing him back almost feels like this desperation move. Now, don't get me wrong. It's going to be amazing. I do not doubt that. I think it's going to be probably one of the greatest Marvel movies ever. Him finally playing the bad guy. Who says no? Now, I'm not upset, right? But it's just like, you know, you could have had Cillian Murphy. Maybe you bring in someone else that we don't really know that well. And maybe they just absolutely kill it. And we fall in love with that villain. People loved Thanos. We didn't really know who he was for a while. And they recasted him halfway through the first whatever stage or whatever they called it. And then we were like, oh my gosh, this villain's amazing. Now, I don't think this will be kind of like he shows up in multiple movies. The role may even not be that big, but then that'll just be weird. So I take that back. But I get it, bringing the Russo brothers back, direct a new movie where it's like, okay, you know what? Director-wise, we don't really see them, right? We see the style, we see the continuity and the storytelling, and that is something that's a big part of it. But overall, I get it. When things aren't going great, you kind of just want to pull out your ace and just be like, all right, you know, I didn't want to have to use this, but fuck it, here we are. Now then, with that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, this week I reintroduce her, but I'll say it again. And you may be wondering why I have these sunglasses on. It's because she actually got them for me. So I thought I would just wear them in the intro for her. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my friend, Natasha Singh.
Have we already started?
Isn't that crazy? You just kind of start. You get into it.
I feel like you were a doctor giving
starts.
me a little shot.
I feel like I should have wore pants. I feel a bit too exposed with my thighs out, but whatever. It's summertime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel Show. Bring the camera to me for a second. Today we have another guest. I told y'all I'm trying to get a little bit more aggressive with these guests. Not with the guests, but having guests. Yeah, my bad. It's 2024. Mm-hmm. Today we have another friend that I met at UT Austin. How did I originally meet her? I'm not sure, but I think it revolved around the dance circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, why waste any more time? Natasha Singh.
Hello, honored to be here, finally, as your second guest.
So, do you know how we met?
I want to say it was at some miscellaneous pregame in some West Campus apartment, if not the actual, I don't know, what is it, rehearsal that we do before a competition? If not that.
Yeah. Were you only on one dance team all the way through?
Yes. Were you on two? Oh my God, do I not even know you?
No. I was only on one.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Let's get you at 8.
I don't know why we're saying only. Those dance teams were hard work.
But I feel like it was common. So you also did, outside of dance teams, you did lassos, right?
A spirit group. Yes.
Spirit group. Okay. How did you end up doing that?
Honestly, people I like joined it that I knew in high school. So I kind of trusted the vibes and the process, and I tried out. I even got sick one day of tryouts. Like it's like a 4-day. It's called rodeo because it's lasso. Get it? Puns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even missed one day of that, but I still got in, and I was like, all right, this seems chill enough to me. And
I feel like that's what you end up doing. Like if you came from high school with some friends, then you end up doing that. Like if I never knew about Saya, right? If I never knew that my sister was on it, if I had never had a history with it.
I didn't know. Shout out Rena. Oh my God.
You didn't know this?
I did not know that.
So she was one of the founders in 08.
Rena.
And then I was like, oh wow, this team's amazing. And then I saw how bad they were when I got there. And I was like, I'm gonna save the day. And she even told me, don't do it. She was like, don't do it. Join Punjab Walkies, you'll have more fun. And I was like, and I do kind of regret it to the day because it's like a group of just dudes would have been so much more fun.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Unless it had got to the point where it's at now where it's not about competing and it's only about entertaining, and it's like, no, I wanted to compete. I wanted to fight something because I had no other outlet for competition anymore. I went from basketball to then college. It was like, okay,
What happens then?
I can't play basketball at the collegiate level. So let me dance.
We don't know that for sure. You could have been. Do they have walk-ons in basketball?
You could have done that. But I was just nowhere close to being in any type of shape for that. So you joined Lassos. Which one do you feel like you held more friendships through towards the end, and then after? Was it Lassos or was it the, I guess, Mohini South Asian people? Because not just Mohini people, but like the people you met through, like me, for example.
Yeah.
You met me through the South Asian side of things.
I would say I have the same number of. Actually, no. I have been closer with the South Asian community, for sure. Like in my later years. I think early on in college, it felt a little bit easier because the proximity was still to Austin. Like people either went to other big cities, which you could see all of them at the same time when you go to that big city, or they stayed kind of close in Texas. So I feel like once everyone started spreading and we started aging, it changed. But for sure, South Asian now.
Did you have a lot of South Asian friends in high school?
No.
Really?
I was quite despised by the brown community. Yeah.
What? Did people think you were Hispanic?
No, they knew I was Indian, and they hated that I was Indian and not invested, I think, in the Indian community, low key.
Really? So,
Yeah.
so like people would ask you about like certain cultural things and they'd be like, what the hell? Or like, what do you mean they were disappointed?
No, everyone knew I was Indian. Like, Indians and non-Indians alike knew exactly what I was.
Because I feel like you're more on the fair tone side of things.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course I'm ethnically ambiguous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, where people are like, And then they maybe hear your last name, they're like, well, actually, I think that's more obvious nowadays. If you're a high schooler, you're pretty ignorant to this stuff.
Okay, so in West Plano, I was one of only 4 Indian people in my whole middle school. So they actually didn't know that I was Indian until I educated them, right? Like they had no idea. When I moved to East Plano, which is a lot more diverse in general, like not just with Indians, but Latinos as well, and also a much larger Black population. In West Plano, about as diverse as I got was whether you went to a church or a synagogue on a Sunday.
Interesting.
When I was there.
Are you surprised that your South Asian relationships have lasted longer?
Superseded? No.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. Our cultural paradigm is such that we all invest in the same things, whether it's weddings or family time or I don't even know, but our privileges are similar, our backgrounds are similar. It's not surprising to me.
That's what I tell people too. So sometimes when people from high school, sometimes they'll be in town or I'm there and we'll talk and they'll be like, I had no idea, like you wanted to join the dance team, you had all these Indian friends, and it's like, I had no idea either until I met them, and it was like obviously a friend of mine, Vishwa, he was the one friend I had through those prior to college years. And it was like, oh, okay, I can see how this works, right? We have similar families, similar family structure as far as parents, an older sister, we are both younger male siblings, and we're the same year. But then when you meet a flood of that, where it's just nothing but brown people and, you know, everyone's kind of there for the same thing. They're all alcoholics, right? It's a lot more. I
prefer the term versatile.
No, yeah, sorry, yeah. We like to indulge in things, and at the same time, everyone knows that their North Star is like, oh, I gotta get a job at the end of this, right? It's not like, oh, my dad will take care of.
I like to call them cultural principles. Like, even if our parents can take care of us, we're not encouraged to let them.
Yeah.
It's a major difference.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you need to be doing better than me.
Yeah.
And so after that, I was just like, yeah, you know, this makes sense. This makes sense why. Like, I wish I kept a more diverse friend group. Even nowadays when I'm like socializing and stuff, and it's like, damn, you know, like I kind of forgot how this works. I kind of forgot how to talk to, you know, like the average white dude, the average black dude. And it's like, oh shit. But then, you know, it's like, you the rust comes off kind of quick, and you're back into the interaction.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a little bit more about friendships and kind of the time progression of them in a second. But first, what are we drinking today, Miss Natasha?
Oh my god. Okay, so yesterday I was having leftover pasta that was kind of spicy. So we're having a dry Spanish white with notes of pear and apple. Cheers. Oh, did we get the clink? I hope we did.
You want to do it again?
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, so satisfying.
ASMR?
What do you think of it?
It's good. It's good summertime wine.
You're right about this. This is a bit precarious.
It's my fault. It's
we'll
okay.
Be good.
It's whatever. Do you still stay invested in learning about wine?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. If it's something I'm paying for, which I pay more than $20 for a bottle of wine now.
Really?
As a 30-year-old, I feel I should cross the $30 mark, you know, threshold.
You've always been, maybe like 1 out of 5 friends I have that is very invested in wine.
So 20% of your friends are invested in wine?
No, I have 5 friends. Well, out of
one of the starting 5.
Yeah. You're in the lineup.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh, I actually care about wine. You know, I think about the nose. I think, like, I know what the question is. I think
the
about
legs,
the tannins,
the acidity.
Exactly. Where I am more so, I tried to, because I was like, oh, you know, this is very gentleman vibe. Where like I could, you know,
polished,
do the whole
posh,
thing.
refined.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then I was just like, you know, this is too much to keep up with.
I mean, as soon as I word the word sommelier, I was hooked. It's a sexy word. Sommelier.
How recent is that term / profession?
Oh, it's a very old profession.
No, but I mean like in modern day, right? Like when did it become like, oh yeah, sommelier, oh these restaurants have sommeliers, all that stuff.
So yeah, okay, so I think it's because my parents took me to Europe in the summers of me growing up. So we've always had a somm. Like I didn't even know that the full word was sommelier until after I was of the legal drinking age.
Yeah.
My dad, when we would go to really nice restaurants, would be like, what does the somm recommend with this meal? So he's really the one who instilled that bougie ass behavior in me, and I'm here. I'm committed to the bit.
Do you think you would ever get into the whiskey territory of things?
After discovering Japanese whiskey, shameless plug, Hibiki sponsor me. Centauri, you're invited as well. I'm obsessed. I have no hangover the next day, no headache. Like the quality speaks for itself. I'm impressed.
Those are the 2 drinks that I'm like, oh, people invest time and energy in this. Where wine and
time, energy, and money, babe. We pay so much money for good wine.
Going
and good
places,
whiskey.
having it imported, and then, you know, like they'll get offended if you add any type of water or anything to it. And it's like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to drink this like without like making a face over and over again. I can see myself.
I need a fucking ice cube.
I can see myself maybe getting more into whiskey.
Are we allowed to curse?
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was just so scared. I'm sweating.
You can say anything. You can say anything. I'm gonna edit it out. I'll send it to your employers.
Bleep.
One of the topics I had, and it's so funny because Natasha is in town visiting, and her and Isha recorded a TikTok yesterday. For those that
we didn't record yet.
Oh.
We're still we didn't have makeup on. We couldn't do it. We were just practicing and learning the dance, Ajay.
Well, part 1 of making the TikTok. And as of I think today or yesterday, TikTok's basically one step forward closer to getting banned. I think Biden, someone signed something and is closer to getting banned. Unless ByteDance, strange name, gives up ownership to, I guess, an American company. Do you think TikTok will get banned? 2, where does that energy go if it does get banned? And then 3, you were just in India. It's a lot of numbers coming. 3, you were just in India, and TikTok is banned there. So, was the world that different?
Yes. I had to use my American data to access TikTok in India, and I did. Like, I still wanted to use it to research stuff. I still wanted it to, like, one day Isha and I were recovering from a gastrointestinal distress, disease, whatever time.
Right.
And the one thing we could think of to do to get us out of our, like, we just want to lay around funk was learn a quick 10-second TikTok dance. So I used my American data to find one for us because the Wi-Fi does not let you connect to TikTok, which I felt was an infringement on my personal rights. Like, I was like, I feel like a goddamn libertarian right now. I was upset.
Do you think it'll get banned here, even with, like, let's say a bunch of people being like, oh, this is an impediment on my First Amendment rights?
It is an impediment on my First Amendment rights. I stand by that. I'm in that group. And anything that gives us a plug, like a free.
But you're selling your data to China.
Who isn't, babe?
No, I'm making the nonsense argument.
Right.
I'm all for China.
You're like trying to be the devil.
China, you don't have to already have it. They have to already have it.
I don't even know why we don't just give them our logins and passwords at this point. We should. Everyone,
I send my nudes on purpose to them. So it's like, hey, look, don't waste your time.
It's like turning yourself in for a crime.
Yeah, just release it. Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just ridiculous to be like, oh, we're selling our the face scans and stuff like that. They can make whatever. I was like, well, I'm just here for a good time.
Do you want to know a fun fact? There has been more research done in the psychological aspect of what makes a trigger for a sale in the human mind, more so than any other area of psychological health. That goes for addiction, that goes for depression, that goes for anything that we put in the mental illness category. They care the most about what our triggers are for consumption.
Right.
Whether it's content consumption, whether it's monetary consumption. So everyone already has that data and they're already manipulating it. So I don't think TikTok is the problem. I think humanity is the problem. TikTok is just a platform.
If you're America, though, don't you? I kind of understand, like, nah, this shit gotta be mine. Like we were just talking about big companies such as Google, Facebook being in cahoots with the government.
I think you mean Meta, and yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, before they have their
copyright infringement.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, oh no, TikTok is this external company, and they're getting all that stuff. We want that user data. We want to know if someone's looking at how to build a table with, like 4 screws, all this random shit that they can just collect it, and then they, push all these advertisements.
Okay, I think that's just smoke and mirrors. Because I think that the American companies that we trust and love already use that data to manipulate us and actually directly harm us.
For sure.
So why should China be any different? Like, if there are world players on any stage, whether it be politics, entertainment, war, you name it, don't they deserve a stake? Like, we have American military bases everywhere. You really care that much about our data when you literally have guns in some people's faces in some countries?
Yeah.
It's so hypocritical. I don't understand it.
It's so, and it is scary. Like, sometimes when you're just talking about something, and like, let's say I mention Hydro Flask water bottles.
Ooh, your next targeted ad.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Me too. NSA agent Bob, if you're listening, I'd love an ad for a new bodycon dress.
That's what I'm saying. Where it's just So do you think it will go through where it's like TikTok will not be available in America anymore?
So you brought up how I was just in India. I like to think that India and the United States are 2 of the most dedicated capitalist countries we will see in the history of mankind.
India and
the USA share that ideology of extreme capitalism. And whatever takes away from their ability to control the masses and continue the cycle of capitalism will always be on the chopping block. So as long as TikTok keeps us informed and tells us, home remedies, or you know what, stop buying plastic toys, or hey, this is what's actually happening in Gaza. This is what's, you know, like there's so many things that we learn from TikTok, whether it's self-care, whether it's the state of the world, whether it's just an opinion or a phenomenon. It harms them and their ability to control our patterns of purchasing, which is what
I can't sell cycle. You clean and clear anymore because you saw 10 TikToks that
about how banana peels are a better enzyme for your skin than,
no, it's true.
You know?
No, I mean it's true. Whereas
or
it's
papaya.
Like, even my mom at one point was like, "Oh, do you watch this one lady?" Making sure we're recording. Yeah, we're good. This one lady where it's like, "Oh, you know, have you heard of all these home remedies like this ginger? Oh, have you heard that they did a case study on LaCroix versus Waterloo or something? So you should be drinking water." And I was just like, "God damn, you doing this?" Like, imagine the 18 million, or how probably billions, below your age group that they want to push consumption.
Yeah.
That older group doesn't consume as much as we do.
Oh,
we love.
I mean, my mom is addicted to Amazon Prime. She's technically not a boomer, though.
I think that's a small percentage.
Okay.
Like, if you take that age group where it's like, how much do they consume versus like our generation?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We're horrible people. We're horrible. Like, look, bro, we're drinking wine on 2 p.m. on a
Wednesday?
I was about to say.
I know you were.
That's like, our parents would never. They're either watching a kid, working some job.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're a bad generation, but it's okay. It's they raised it.
We're also the first American generation that won't have as much in savings or assets as our parents do.
It's okay.
So I think we're allowed to take a few hits here and there.
I'm fine with it.
Me too. It's okay.
So the 3 questions was the India piece. The do you think it'll go through? Where does that energy go if it gets banned?
I'm hoping we see I say revival with the utmost caution of X/Twitter. I hate calling it X, but of Twitter.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the next open forum, and I think that they're going to interplay some more video capabilities, and we'll all lean into it a little bit more.
Have you tried using Threads?
I haven't even downloaded it. I refuse to give any more data to Facebook/Meta. Like, I'd rather give my information to China at this point because they hurt me less.
So that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like,
take it.
Hey, if I were to think of a big evil out of the big 4 or 5 that exist now, 4 being Google, let's just call them Facebook for now, Apple, and who's the 4th one in that? Let's say it's Tesla now. Tesla /
I feel like Amazon's up there too.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Amazon
was the 4th.
You forgetting a giant, a behemoth.
Amazon is definitely in there.
Yeah.
So one of them already have it. One of them already have my stuff. So
all of them
for TikTok to have it, I'm just like, it's fine. Like, take it. I think with what Threads has become, and honestly, I do like it.
Really?
It is actually pretty, so if you open up Instagram, do you ever get that box where it's like, it looks like a tweet?
I actually only have a Finsta now, so I rarely use Instagram.
Okay.
I forgot. Wait, what is this?
So basically, imagine your Instagram feed, but there will be a random box, not the same size as your average Instagram picture, but it'll show a tweet.
Oh.
It'll be like, hey, I'm a local person in Los Angeles, with this pot. Like, it could be something as random as that.
So does it use geotagging to give you some sponsored threads from your area?
Probably.
Okay.
Geotagging or anything that I've probably searched. Maybe I've looked up some Indian wedding thing and someone has some hack around it. And so it gets you to click that. So now I'm on Threads. So I went through all the stories on Instagram. Now I'm on Threads using their next platform.
Yeah.
And then obviously I go back for Reels. So and it's just like, hey, one company should not own all of my social media usage. Because it used to be spread out a little bit. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, and I have TikTok and Facebook. This is before these 2 were in bed together.
Yeah.
And now it's like, yo, how much power?
They also own WhatsApp. Like, they're truly one of our monopolies for messaging.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
It's scary.
It's a fun time.
It's scary.
Why be scared of it though?
I don't know. I feel like billionaires are modern day monarchs. Like, these men that have all of this monetary power actually have a meritocracy. No, that's not what it is at all. We need to create a word for it.
Like what? So that they, it's a cabal almost?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think there's like an international cabal of like the 1% of the 1% that truly decides our lives, right? So we're at the mercy of these people that have all of this power. They don't have our data. They have our future in their hands.
Yeah.
They pay for the policy that gets pushed through,
I agree.
right? Like, so they're scary. Like, I think it's like having like a mad king that you don't know anything about.
So why do you think places like Meta will end up on Capitol Hill for hearings like, oh, hey, you've been pushing all this hate? You see what I'm saying? Like maybe I'm on the same page as you, where there's a cabal, there's a big thing happening, people control our lives. And then sometimes I see stuff like this where it's like, oh, why are they trying to, get on their ass? Why are they trying to get on Elon Musk's ass? But at the same time, are they trying to keep order? So sometimes I find myself delusional in being like, oh, maybe this is a happy place we live.
No, I don't think that you're delusional. I think that there are a few good eggs. I think that there are a few people that are actually trying to probably do the right thing.
But do you think that's Capitol Hill?
No.
Yeah, no way.
I don't think those are demons in DC.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, like maybe there are a few of them that enter the rat race with the best of intentions, but by the time they get to the second term or whatever the hell position, whatever is happening, by the time they get into it, I mean, lie with dogs, rise with fleas.
And
like,
they're
there's
ancient. They're ancient.
So many of them are
there's
ancient.
the term policies on that is just like, you can stay in there forever.
Did you know that there's a photo of Nancy Pelosi as a high school senior congratulating John F. Kennedy at his inaugural celebrations?
Isn't that wild?
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
She needs to go home and stay home.
And
I'm saying that with my chest, Nancy.
Think about, did you cheer when her husband got beat up?
Her
Actually,
husband got beat up?
never mind.
I didn't
Don't
hear
answer that.
that.
Don't answer that. She did not. She did not. You're still in corporate America. You gotta protect yourself somehow.
I guess, but I'm pretty loose and free with my opinions at work.
Her insider trading, have you kept up with that at all?
Oh, 100%. I follow that guy on TikTok that exclusively trades based off of what our politicians do. Cheers to you, fella, by the way. Thank you.
And it's probably so so what you were saying as far as people steer the common, people steer the
Common experience, and you and I are like the common man and common woman, right? So even with our privileges, I'm addressing those. They control our lives, or at least the opportunities in our lives for the most part.
We're so far removed from it.
You're closer to being homeless right now in Culver City than you are to being a billionaire.
Yes, there's a scale.
I am too.
There's a full scale.
Yeah.
Even if you're making 6 figures a year, you're closer to the bottom than you are up there.
1,000%. Even if you're making 7 figures, you need to be in the 10-figure club or above to even think that you're immune from anything.
Yes. I always find and this will be the last thing I mention, where the few good eggs will never get into politics.
Or they burn out and then they leave for their sanity.
Or they just play with toys. I don't know how you feel about Mark Cuban.
I like him. As far as billionaires go, maybe he's not the worst one.
Right. Where, he tries to tackle the big pharma issue.
Mm-hmm. His competitive pricing, pharma is, that website's pretty cool.
And he seems like a decent human being. When you see him in interviews, stuff like that, people like, I'm forgetting the Asian fella's name. David, no, not David.
Who is this? Give me some more buzz.
It's not David Chang. That's the chef dude on Netflix.
Yeah.
Who's the other Asian guy that people say should run for president? I'm gonna get murdered for this. Another guy that seems pretty you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders. We would love to have you in office.
Mm-hmm.
We would love for you to lead us, but they'll never get into it because it's you have to go through so much bullshit when you finally get to that position. Versus when you're in the position you are in, you can just use money to make something happen.
Are you talking about Andrew Chun? Is that what his name is?
Yes.
The one that's pro cannabis and.
Yes.
Okay.
He seems kind of hippie.
Yeah, exactly. He's done psychedelics.
But he's a billionaire though, right?
Is he? Is everyone a freaking billionaire now? Especially the people in politics.
Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe it's not that hard.
Maybe we should talk about it. Maybe we're closer to them than being homeless. We'll see. I doubt it though.
So now we get on to the friendship stuff. We were talking about how you've held on to more South Asians post college, but at the same time, getting to see your group of bridesmaids recently, I was like, oh shit, she has a lot of friends. And then I also think about Isha's group of friends where
She has a lot of friends too.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Where we were talking about groomsmen and bridesmaids, and I was like, God damn, how did you keep up
with 18 different bitches?
And not even from the same walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
You got cousins, you got friends from Mohini, friends from college, friends from just London and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you maintain this? So I'll just pose the question to you. What is the difference you feel like maintaining a friendship in your early 20s, and this, let's say post-college, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 22 to 26 versus 27 to now 30.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the main difference?
So I've thought about this at length because I had after my frontal lobe developed, I started to feel differently about certain friendships. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's this line that you cross that's somewhere between superficial and serious. Where you can't just blindly co-sign each other's bullshit like you did in your early 20s, where it's like, oh, that guy didn't text you back, fuck him. In your late 20s, maybe it's time to sit down and be like, well, what do you actually want out of this? Should you be texting that guy? Things just become more layered, more complex, because life gets a little bit, more complicated too. Our time is more limited. You don't want to spend it just superficially chatting with the same six people, the same conversations. Shit's not fun.
It's it's almost sad to say, it just gets darker. It's like, hey, we can't just go out and just drink and hang out.
With the right people, you can.
Sure.
But that group's got to be able to talk later too, or earlier in the day, whichever your preference is.
I've always mentioned this to Isha, where I'll see a group of guys, and I'm like, do they even talk to each other? Sure, I see them, getting trashed together, ha ha, he he, a couple of Instagram pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a ski trip here or there.
Quick tangent. I always think it's weird if you post a picture of your boys on their birthday on Instagram stories.
Oh, that's adorable. People
I think it's
that?
weird.
I don't think I've ever seen
You see what
that.
I'm saying? It's a strange
That
behavior.
would be super cute.
It's a
Guys
strange
do
behavior.
it.
Girls do it, right? Girls do it. One, you're either attractive or you're funny.
Bless you.
Did that get on camera?
I hope it did.
And, okay, so going back to the guys piece, where I was just like, I have witnessed groups where I have just really thought, do you guys talk? And then second, does it matter if it's working for y'all? I think times in life will come where you go through something and it's like, oh, hey, I need to outlet this to someone, and it will end up on those guys' plates because you have no one else.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna go to, I don't think you'll go to a girl, because a lot of times when you get to those later 20s, you're dealing with more so things like, hey, this girl's driving me crazy. But what do I do? Because I know I'm the person that's the problem. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like, hey, what did you do?
Yeah. I don't want to be an echo chamber of my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Help me.
Please. And I think that's what's helped with having a older brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Where I watched him do things and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is the cadence, this is the pattern. Things aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be. But that's all right. But you just got to figure out how to be not perfect. I think in the early 20s, it would be so easy to make friends by just going out, drinking. Oh my gosh, wow.
Club culture caters to people in their early 20s.
It's amazing, especially coming from a UT culture.
Oh yeah. We finessers. We're professionals. We're veterans of 6th Street. We're ready.
I feel like that's also Texas stuff. I don't know. Because I've been to a cousin's college where they, he went to Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi. Well, they were drinking, but it was more so they would go to the beach and do a bonfire.
Well, I mean, Corpus beaches aren't that great.
Yeah. It's more to the bonfire too.
But if you're by a beach, then yeah, have a bonfire.
So bonding like that, I could see where people are sitting down and talking, more so than club culture, where it's like, do you want a shot?
Mm-hmm.
Do you, huh? Mm-hmm. Are you ready to go eat?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to hook up with someone at 2 a.m. and it's like that was the life. Yeah. And then later 20s, it's more so kind of okay, fixing things okay, I should put more energy here. Mm-hmm. I should put less energy here. I don't know. When do you think that change happened for you?
So I think it's when I started experiencing loss in my life. Dark, like you said. Like it's really when you start experiencing the darker stuff. And also, you're never gonna be awesome all the time. Like no one is actually gonna be perfect all the time. But which friends could give me feedback without being bitches? That was a big one. Like, can you tell me when things are off between us or just off with you without it being like this huge burden on you? Like, are you emotionally mature enough to tell me that we have a problem or that you have a problem?
What do you feel like the difference is between that type of interaction in guys versus girls?
Like male friendships versus female friendships and like their communication expectation, or?
Yeah, like almost like the conflict resolution side of things.
Oh,
like,
that,
oh,
okay.
yo, I got a beef with you. How does that end up coming back to a friendship versus like, does it go through more loopholes when you're a lady?
I don't know that it goes through more loopholes, but it does go through.
Or less.
Like, I feel like it's just a lot more complicated. Like, I do think men have a simpler approach. I will say that. And it's one that I can appreciate for certain reasons. But I don't know that it makes room for nuance, which is why some guys' friendships just like fall off. But I don't know, maybe I'm taking a more masculine approach in the sense that I also accepted that some friendships fell off and I stopped pushing. Like, I think what I had before was the feminine approach, which was let's communicate through this.
Yeah.
Let's figure it the fuck out, please. Like, let's sit down and invest in a conversation. Whereas now I'm kind of like, hey, it's not working. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to keep trying to put a triangle into a square hole. Like,